Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the 618 podcast. We have a great, awesome special guest here today, Tyler Copeland, PWE wrestler, professional superstar, and we got him here today to talk about basically what it's like to be a wrestler, what it's like outside of wrestling at the home life, you know, what your future plans are and who inspires you, all that good stuff. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Tyler Copeland.
Thanks, Tom. Happy to be here. I've been following the podcast for the last few months and was excited to be on. As soon as I saw it, had to send you a message to see what the openings look like to get on here. So get on here. So.
Yeah, it's totally cool, man. I was pretty well shocked for that one. I was like, okay. So every wrestler has a moment when they realize, this is what I want to do. So when was that realization for you?
Well, I followed wrestling all throughout my life growing up. Always watched it throughout school. You know, I was going through school in like the late '90s, so the time of like the Attitude Era and all that. So huge fan during the Attitude Era. Loved WCW as well. So big fan of like NWO, things like that. And it just came to whenever when I was graduated high school. One of the first things I did was find like a local wrestling school in St. Louis and got involved there and kind of went from there. It's just something I always followed since I was young.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. What's one thing about the world of professional wrestling that people think they know, but they don't know?
I think it's more so how much of like a physical toll it takes, right? Because people see it on TV every week, right? Fans who really follow it maybe see it more often than that, and I think what a lot of fans don't realize, and myself, what I didn't realize beforehand as well, is just the physical toll that it takes on your body over time. And I'm not even someone who does it that frequently anymore. You know what I mean? But a lot more of a physical toll than I think is really understood.
I bet it's like the gym times 10.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you go to the gym and then you hurt when you go to the gym, but then as soon as you get done, it's like it takes a few days. But wrestling, you for what 10 15 minutes, something like that for matches and so.
Oh yeah.
And that's probably the longest 10-15 minutes of your life.
Yeah, it's like the cardio that's required for it is one thing that I definitely took for granted when I was a little bit younger when I first got started. Because I took a few years off and then I came back and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a little bit more of a cardio toll than I remember. But I had to get used to that again.
Yeah.
So,
what are some of your biggest influences growing up in wrestling?
You know what, I gotta say, it was the late '90s, so the Attitude Era, NWO timeline. NWO, the New World Order. I was more of a WCW guy in like the late '90s. Of course, also watched WWF when I could. But NWO was a huge influence on me during that time period when I was, a kid. When I was like a teenager in like high school and all that, I discovered Ring of Honor. Followed, TNA wrestling as well. Some influences on me during that time period were probably like the Age of the Fall in Ring of Honor, which is a very dark, almost like emo stable at the time, led by Jimmy Jacobs. And I just thought that was like the coolest thing. So that was the kind of music I was into at the time, right? So, and it was dark, it was violent, and of course, Ring of Honor itself is just a really physical wrestling promotion. So, I think it started off when I was young with like New World Order, and then eventually it kind of led into like the Ring of Honor, the more hard hitting stuff.
Yeah. The New World Order. I remember when Hulk Hogan as a kid, he was always the good guy, and then he became a heel, and It's when I learned that when you learn to hate someone, it's like you still are so intrigued by the whole concept that this good guy turns bad guy, and now it's like as much as I hated that, Hulk America. Come on now, Hulkamania. He was the icon of everything. He's like when in PW the Benjamin Trust. He's like the all American hero kind of guy. Where then he turned bad. And when Benjamin Trust turned bad, I was like, oh my, our whole family loved this guy. Now it's like get out of here. You know what I mean? So and then with my favorite thing was the George's George. I was at an arena one time. I forgot which wrestling events it was, but I can hear the metal music coming out. I thought that was so cool. And Undertaker, when I was a little kid, I was standing in the corner. I was in trouble, and I can remember hearing them introduce Undertaker and that whole sound, that whole darkness and that evil sound. And I I wanted to look so bad. I was so upset. I remember being in the corner just being like, who is this guy? I want to know so bad. Yep. And so it's really cool. It's kind of crazy how how that all, like, how we get inspired by, an era, like especially the 90s. NWO and X-Pac or X-Pac, whatever.
The DX.
Yeah, DX,
For its time, like Taker, you mentioned Taker's music hitting it. Taker's character was so unique at the time in the early 90s. So I can't imagine what that was like to see live. That had to be just incredible.
Oh, man. It's crazy. Can you share your journey with Pro Wrestling Epic? You've been with them guys for how long now?
10 years.
10 years.
So, yeah, I've been Wrestling Epic for the last 10 years. Before I was with Pro Wrestling Epic, so to give that timeline, I started with Pro Wrestling Epic in 2014. I started wrestling 2 years before that in 2012. In a very I would say unique way. After I had finished training, as I started wrestling, I also started my own promotion at the time, which was it was Wrestling in Bates Alton. Later evolved over the years to different versions and things like that. But actually, the first ever show that I booked, Lenny Mephisto was on. And owner of Pro Wrestling Epic, and then very, very good friend of both of ours.
Absolutely. Love Lenny. Shout out to Lenny.
And I actually didn't even realize it until years later that he was on that first show. But shortly after that, we just connected, and he let me know when he was bringing Pro Wrestling Epic back, because I believe at the time it had like a 1 or 2 year hiatus, but it came back in 2014 at the time, and. At the time I was very, very new, very green, but Lenny Mephisto gave me an opportunity to be a part of that show, to do a run-in, and then later continue, competing at Pro Wrestling Epic, and that was kind of my start there. It was all just from an opportunity that Lenny gave me, So he and I go way back for the last 10 years.
Wow, things have changed since then. The last 10 years. I'm sure you've seen him grow, and Lenny's. We love Lenny and Sharia. They bring such great entertainment. I mean. The level of excitement that I see in kids' eyes when the wrestlers come up and say something to them, and the heels will come up and they'll be like, "Shut up!" And they're just like, they jump back and they're like, "Yeah, you shut up," And man, I just love that. Seeing the smiles and faces like that, I just love that. They do such a great job.
Oh yeah,
I love it. What makes professional wrestling unique compared to other promotions?
Pro Wrestling Epic, I think it's unique, especially right now, the volume of shows that Lenny's doing. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but somewhere in the 20s. I know if it's more than that, Lenny's gonna let me hear about it. But I think it's like I think he did like well over 25 shows last year, and these are shows that span from like Missouri up to southern and even close to central, like Illinois. The volume of shows that he's doing throughout the year is just incredible. You know what I mean? Not only that, but he's, at the same time, doing ring rentals, renting cages now, from what I hear as well. But back to your question in regards to Pro Wrestling Epic, the volume of shows that's happening, the variety of different talent, so he's bringing talent from all over the place, and in the St. Louis area, he's even highlighting some unique wrestlers that aren't highlighted elsewhere. I just really think what he's putting together is special and unique, and he definitely puts the fans first with his approach. As you've seen before, with a lot of the events he's done. So big shout out and props to Lenny. It all I think stems from what Lenny's doing with PWE and the approach he's taken. Yeah.
What is one of your most memorable matches?
Ooh, two come to mind. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go three. Three come to mind. If we talk, so I took like a 2 year. Thank you. I took a 2 year hiatus from wrestling from like 2019 to 2021. So if I look at before the hiatus, the match that would come to mind before the time I took off would have been myself versus Mephisto. It was for the WOE Championship, Wrestling Over Everything. This was a promotion that eventually, I believe, merged with PWE. But we had a match for the WOE title, main event, and that's the match where I had beaten Mephisto for the belt. So it was an amazing build-up, amazing match, and that one had always been number one to me until I, came back from my hiatus in 2021. Since then, I've had two matches that really stood out. One was, you may have been there, one was main event against Kindlebeck in February of, so I guess 2 years ago. Now it was that real bloody match where he got no disqualification main event.
That was time I believe, because it was him and Mustache Mafia, I believe, that got bloody that night too. And the whole, let me tell you something. That was the first time I literally had seen any of the wrestlers bleed, and when he did, in my head I'm going, okay, I'm sure everybody knows what they're doing. But I'm like, that's a lot of blood. I'm like, I'm about to watch this guy, and he's about to jump off the top rope on you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm literally about to watch this dude pass out while he's trying to. And
he lost a lot of blood.
He lost a lot of blood. It freaks me out. I ain't gonna lie. There's a picture out there that I think we shared with PWE. My stepson it was at the Centralia show, and it was during, I believe, the Harsh and Cash Borden match, and my stepson was like this, he's like that. Like, he's like, I mean, you can see him in the back. He's frightened, man. It was so cool, dude. He loves it though, but man, it had me nervous. I remember that show.
Yeah, it was. I mean, after there are pictures of it, you see he's covered in blood, and then I've got a bunch of blood on me too. So people are messaging me if I'm okay, but it was all his blood. So and when I came to the back and I looked at myself in the mirror, I was like, okay, where am I cut? But then I realized, oh, this is all his blood. So, but he ended up being fine, thank God. He's okay. But then, that match was definitely special. And then, I did a lot of work over the last few years in New Mexico as well. So probably my debut in Albuquerque, New Mexico, against a guy named Sean Lau.
Nice. Did you have Kendall go down there with you?
Yeah, that's a great point. So Kendall also wrestled Kindlebeck in Albuquerque.
Nice.
Yep, in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Yeah,
that's pretty dope, man.
So that was a really great experience a year later to kind of circle back to that match.
Yeah. Hell yeah. That's amazing. So one of your who you're with is the Solution. All right, you're still with them, and then you're
no, out of the Solution now.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So unfortunately, took the loss to Nick in December. So with that, they Nick and Derek went their own ways. They're continuing the Solution, but since then I've been kicked out, so I'm kind of back to square one.
Shit.
Yeah.
I hope we see more of you, that's for sure, because Solution, I love them guys, but man, I tell you, they're a force to be reckoned with, boy. They don't play no games, and they'll do what they got to do to get what they got to get.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So how does working on the independent wrestling scene shape wrestlers' careers?
Oh shoot! I mean, I think it all revolves around the opportunities they get. When it comes to the independent scene, they have so many options because you're not limited to you can only work for this place or this place. I mean, you're pretty much free to get your name out there, to build relationships and be seen. You know what I mean? So I think the way you go about it is really kind of determines how it will shape your career. You want to build. You don't want to just wrestle in the same city. You want to expand and you want to be seen. You know what I mean? So I guess depending on the route you take and how much you're willing to get out there and be seen will really shape what your future is going to look like.
A lot of it probably has to do with just like what you put into it as well.
100%.
That's why it's a very physically demanding thing.
100%.
And I know that you do. I can appreciate all the wrestlers out there that put their hard work in who are overweight or whatever, because they put their. I've watched them wrestle, and there are no slouches out there. But one thing I look at, in a good wrestler is their good physique. You know what I'm saying? And I know when you've got a really good physique and you try to or you got a good costume or
like a gimmick,
whatever.
Yeah.
It really helps sell a lot, and it shows that people are really So I know you do a lot of working out. You know what I'm saying? And so are you on any kind of testosterone or any kind of? Are you just very natural or
just like the prescription like TRT?
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah. So very super open about that, and I think you've now been like a couple years, right?
Yeah, it's been
absolute game changer.
Yeah. It's a total game changer.
So, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I tattoo a cop, and it's a sheriff in Jefferson County, and he told me the same thing. He's on TRT as well. Prescribed. Prescribed. You go to any TRT place. There's True Test in Marion, Illinois, and it's a total game changer. I mean, they do everything just right. I mean, and I noticed because when I first started TRT, a lot of your symptoms are your tiredness, low sex drive, all that kind of stuff. But I had a lot of energy. I had a decent sex drive, but when you start TRT, it's a whole nother level or category of you. It's like I thought I, had no problem having sex, but now you're on testosterone. It's like,
and you're like, oh, okay, this.
Now you're jumping off doing triple flips in the air, trying to be like, you know what I'm saying? And then you go to the gym and you literally see. I'm not playing. You literally see after a month and a half, you instantly, almost every day you see a change.
Oh, absolutely.
Every day you see a change, and it's just a small dose, and how's that helped you out in your life as far as?
Well, my story is very different when it comes to that. So, in most cases, like what you're referring to, is what a man will notice is like later, I don't even say later on in life, because a lot of times now people in their 30s are even low. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's because of what's in our food and stuff. Who knows?
100%.
But what you'll notice is that low energy, and you'll really just kind of notice a shift in the day-to-day. So you notice a massive difference whenever you all of a sudden went from having low testosterone levels to what would be considered, I wouldn't even call it high, I would consider it kind of normal, what it should be when you have the same testosterone levels as someone in their early 20s, so that makes a big difference right away. My story was a little bit different with it, because I didn't get on testosterone because I had naturally reached a low point. When I was much younger, like I'm talking like early 20s, I had like a whatever it takes mentality, and I would supplement and I would take certain things that would affect my testosterone levels, right? So I kind of screwed myself up when I was young, to the point to where, I went to a doctor and I got prescribed it at a super young age. So, I mean, I guess that's a positive, because I never felt what that super low is like, because I've pretty much been on the TRT for like last 10 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So little to no side effects though.
Yeah.
So, it's, and plan on just kind of maintaining that.
Do you how often do you take your estrogen blockers? Is it only as needed, or do you take them because I've been told to take them as needed, or as if I see any symptoms, but I don't ever really see any symptoms. So I've been told to take it at a certain every point, like once a week, and then a certain time. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So did you take yours?
The way I do it is one, symptoms, yes, for sure. But if what are you on, 200 milligrams a week?
Well, it's 240.
240.
240.
Okay, yeah. I would probably, for everyone's different, but if I was taking 240, I'd probably do an estrogen blocker every other day. Like 0.5 milligrams of Arimidex.
Yeah.
But everyone's different, so it depends on what level your actual levels get to.
I would
Is it getting over 1,200?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I got up to 1,500, and they had to bring me back down a little bit. But my estrogen blocker was, I think, once a week. Mine was, and it was a half a pill, so I think that was 0.5.
I mean, typically, if you're noticing side effects, that's when you want to take it. But I would think at 1,500 or more you'd notice side effects, but not everybody does. Everyone's different.
Yeah, some people say they don't have no problems, they don't have no side effects, But my biggest thing is gynecomastia. I don't want to get that, you know what I'm saying? So I'm really worried about like how I do all that, But
yeah, I mean, as long as you're monitoring the estrogen and not seeing side effects, then I wouldn't be too concerned about it. That's pretty cool that you got the 240.
Yeah, well, see, I mean, this place has had no problem getting me where I needed to be. They said that they maintain my blood, all that kind of stuff. I have to get a blood test every 12 weeks, 16 weeks, whatever. Yeah. And and it comes back, everything's fine. No, I've had a blood test at my doctor one time, and she looked at me, she's like, your testosterone's a little high. And I said, what is it? She's like, it was like 1,200, 1,100, something like that. And I said, no, that's okay. That's my. I said, I have a doctor that and so she was like, all right, but so and that's why I urge people to try not to go to their actual doctor, because they will only get you let's just say, for just an example, if a 30-year-old man's testosterone is supposed to be 400, 500, 600, they're gonna only want to get you where they're supposed to be at the age. Exactly. These TRT places want to get you back when you're 19, 20 years old. Yeah. That's because ultimately that helps you lose weight, it helps you get with gains. I know it helped me with structure, and shoot, it's a game changer for sure.
That's the game changer. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So absolutely, like the range of what they consider normal testosterone is crazy. It's on the blood test, it's like 300 to like 1,100 or something like that. I might be a little off, but like any male feel at like 900 to 1,000, you're gonna feel great, and that's the levels you would have in like your early 20s.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I don't know why any man who's over 40, not planning on having any more kids, I don't know why anyone wouldn't want to be
Yeah,
on testosterone.
absolutely.
It's an absolute game changer.
It totally is. I'm really glad that I noticed when I was getting higher on the testosterone, I noticed I was getting a little more. I wouldn't say a little more, but I was, one of those. I don't know, wishing a motherfucker would. You know what I'm saying? I'm literally walking around, it's like, I know this is not right to say, but I just wish a motherfucker would one day. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I noticed that I was getting a little bit of aggressive feelings, because you're on a little decent testosterone. I'm bodybuilding at the time, and so when I started cutting my stuff back down to a TRT dose, then I noticed that it wasn't so much of I'm a lot more chill and less extreme. So that's another thing too is, it's if you get a little higher than your testosterone, your normal state, it will cause, I was sweating real bad at night, you know what I mean? And
oh yeah.
So it'll definitely,
Oh yeah, it'll blood pressure will go up too. So yeah, there's a ton of negatives to it going too high and being high for an extended period of time. Yep. So I think to me 800 to 1200 is like the sweet spot.
Absolutely. Because there was a point in time I went from 1200 down to 900, and I didn't even really notice. I really honestly didn't notice a difference. And a lot of people who do take testosterone say that they're like, why go up to higher to 15 to 2000? Yeah. He's like, unless you're trying to be a jacked out bodybuilder or whatever. Yeah. But if you're just trying to maintain a nice physique, whatever, it's people are it's like there's no need to go up to 500 when 250. You're not going to feel any difference,
Yeah, when I was in my mid 20s and I was just going hard with everything, I didn't really care about that stuff. I was at one point I have a blood test where I was like 2600.
Oh shit! Wow,
felt pretty good.
Yeah. Oh fuck yeah, you.
But at the same time, I was like 25, and I'm sure if I was there now, I'd have like a ton of side effects with it. So,
very true. Yeah.
As a layman, I do pre-workout. What's the similar? Is there a feeling similar to pre-workout with testosterone, or is it just like if that ramps you get up before you go to work out with?
Yeah, so I think with the pre-workout, it's going to be, depending on your caffeine tolerance, you're going to get a rush for that workout. Yeah. Testosterone, you're going to have like an overall assertiveness. I don't want to say aggressiveness, but like a motivation 24/7, where that higher motivation. It's not more of a.
You're definitely motivated. That's what I was going to say. Is like it's like when I go to the gym when I'm on testosterone, like when I'm on a higher dose, whatever, I go in there, and first of all, it tells me like I'm on this. So psychologically, I feel like you know what I mean. I don't know how to explain it. Like it's kicking in or something, But all in all, it's like it keeps your mind constantly. Like when I'm not at the gym, I'm thinking about what else I can do. That's another thing. When I didn't have much energy before I started it, I had energy. I got up every morning at 5 in the morning, and before I went to not even go to the gym no more. I was still a fat dude. Just got up every morning, just chilled and did stupid videos. But I thought then I had energy. But now the energy is different. It's where your mind's constantly being like, you ain't gonna be bored. Yeah, we're gonna figure something out. There's gonna be something 100%. To do. So that's.
It keeps you motivated.
Keeps you definitely motivated, and not like crackhead motivated. I mean, I guess I don't know. Depending on sometimes, it might look like it, but it doesn't really get you crackhead motivated. Like you ain't out there just doing all changing shit and doing all kinds of weird shit. But
100%.
Yeah. So with training and stuff. So this training wrestling style. What would describe your wrestling style?
I would say calculated. Yeah. It's definitely calculated. Most of it since I've been back has been heel work. I had one match as a face, but it's very calculated in terms of just playing the character that I need to get the crowd to hate me and cheer the face or whoever I'm working with. Yeah.
You do a really good job there.
I would say I would even call it maybe even like a slower style, but it picks up when it needs to. So. Depending on where my cardio's at.
Right.
It's much better now. So,
Have you ever done any events like the Tough Mudder or Spartan?
Oh yeah. So I haven't done the Tough Mudder or Spartan, but the Warrior Dash I did. They don't do that. That's not around anymore, but it's like the Spartan race. Okay. They used to have Muck Ruckus, I think it was called in St. Louis. So those are both similar to what you just said. Cool. I want to do a Spartan race and I want to do a Tough Mudder.
Yeah. I did a Tough Mudder. I love them. Tough Mudder is more of a your pace kind of thing. You can run it, or you don't have to. But I did my first 15K. I did a 5K my first time, and then I did a 15K the second time and didn't even train for it. It took me 4 hours to do it, but I pushed myself. It was for 4 hours. I gave myself everything I could possibly give. Yeah. I was not lazy. I was not slouchy, and it took me 4 hours, but I was hurting so bad at the end, bro. And the only thing, all the stuff's cool. It's something that you can do no problem. But they got these electric, things on there.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, look, I'm trying to test my physical fit, not me being stupid. I'm in water and you're zapping me. Like, I'm not into that. Like, I'm just gonna go climb something or hang on to something or
the fire pit. You have to jump over a fire pit.
I'll do that too, but I mean, but it better not be no big ass fire. I'll jump over it, but like getting zapped, it feels like somebody's hitting you with a little ball peen hammer, dude.
Oh,
and it's like it'll knock you off your feet, and it's just like, why? Like, I'm gonna go like push something or lift something or climb something or crawl somewhere. You know what I mean? But they have a lot of that.
Oh yeah, I've seen those and where they'll zap you, and then I've also seen where you have to jump over fire and stuff like that.
I didn't do that on that one that we did. But we had to go into an Arctic. They called it the Arctic Blast, Arctic Tundra, or something like that, where you jump into these little like pits that's about up to here in this iced water. Like, it's the coldest thing you could ever get into. Yeah. It take your breath smooth the fuck away. And you got to go under these little railroad ties, and the railroad tie is about this far underwater, so it's like this tall. So you have to touch it first. Yeah. Because if you go underneath thinking it's right at the edge, you're gonna split your shit like my cousin did. Knock her glasses off, give her a black eye. You have to grab it, go underneath it, and you gotta get out quickly because your feet will start like hurting badly. It's crazy, bro.
That'd be brutal. Yeah, those ice baths are hard, so I can't even imagine how tough that would be.
Yeah, it's right around April. It's like in April, so it's like right around early spring. So it's not like it's usually cloudy and kind of rainy and and.
As long as you don't have to run the whole full thing.
No, you don't. No, because I ran the first. What I do is I'd run like the first mile, or I'd run to the first obstacle, and then we have to wait in line for the small little line, whatever, to wait. So by the time you're done, you're huffing and puffing. By the time you do your obstacle and you get done waiting for the next person, and you wait for another person because they, and then finally you're kind of you're rested. You jog to the next spot. Yeah. Sometimes they're a little bit longer, sometimes a little bit shorter, but you jog to the next spot. By the time you get to that next spot, you're fucking out of breath, hating life for a split second. It's like a mile, maybe a little over. And then you just do that. So it's one of those things like, and then you can stop and get drinks and things like that. And I did that by myself, and technically I did it by myself, but I technically didn't do it by myself because the people that were in, because they get a whole group of you. Yeah. And people I don't even know. I had showed up, and two people had bailed out, and one person went early, and I just was by myself. So they would help me up. They would help me. Yeah. So it's like, even though I did it alone, I didn't do it alone. You know what I mean? And so I kind of felt cool because it just kind of was a camaraderie thing,
Oh yeah, that makes it so much better too.
So they're not doing it this year, but next year, bro, I've been trying to get a group of people to go with me, and I would love to have you. If they're gonna, they didn't do it this year apparently for whatever reason, which is supposed to be in April, but they have other events they're doing, just not in the. It says Missouri, but it's actually at the racetrack in Madison. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, the racetrack, whatever, it's right there at that racetrack.
That'd be incredible. Yeah, I'm down. So
hell yeah.
Get more details on. They
I'm gonna hold
not
that
this year, but it's next year.
Well, it was supposed to be this year, but if it happens, it's supposed to happen next year. Yeah. And usually at the same time. It's in April 27th. We usually go at 9 a.m. in the morning. Yeah. So absolutely, I would love to get a team again together. You get a free beer at the end. You get a free shirt. And fucking,
that's a good time.
Yeah, dude, it's muddy as fuck.
It's been years since I did one of those, but I've literally been looking into them the last year, so that'd be awesome.
I am so gonna keep you in line with this one for sure, bro. Heck yeah. So how do you prepare for a match physically and mentally?
Ooh, I prepare physically and mentally. So when it comes to physically, I just up the cardio like weeks before. Mm-hmm. So I know I'm going to be in there for at least 10. You typically at least like 10 minutes or more. Mm-hmm. So cardio is like a huge thing nowadays. Way more important than it used to be. I'm finding out as I get older. But yeah, cardio is huge. And of course, I mean, I'm always in there hitting weights and things like that. So it's more so just like an increase in cardio for me, and then mentally, just making sure that my the 48 hours before I'm wrestling are very, very smooth. I'm getting good sleep. My schedule for the day is on track, and I'm able to kind of focus on the match. I'd like to start getting there a little bit earlier than I do, but I like to get there, of course, early to be in the right mindset and mind frame and things like that. Nothing major, just kind of simple things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your gym life like? What's your routine when you go to the gym? Like?
Yeah. So I would say I'm in the gym. I make it to the gym usually 5 or 6 days a week. I plan to go every day, so I don't have like Monday I'm hitting this muscle, Tuesday I'm hitting this one. I noticed that if I plan to go every day, I end up making it in there like 5 or 6 days a week. because things come up
Yeah,
in our schedule
absolutely.
and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's way easier for me to do that and just kind of know what muscle group comes next. But I try to do 30 minutes of cardio now, which is usually Stairmaster, and then after that I'll hit a muscle group or two. Some days I'll hit 2 muscle groups, some days 1, just weight training.
Yeah.
So I try to hit every muscle group like once a week at least.
And the cardio is really important, and that people think that, because I don't like to run, but running is a good form of cardio for me just because it cuts to the chase. No bullshit, But 30 minutes of cardio, what are you trying to burn usually? 200-300 calories during your time?
I noticed.
Or are you going hard?
On Stairmaster, I noticed on the Stairmaster if I go about 30 minutes, so I've just started going 30. I used to do 20.
Okay.
So I notice I'll burn anywhere between like 350 to 400.
That's good.
Which in my diet's like not perfect at all. So it's, but I noticed a little bit of a difference now doing 30 minutes instead of 20. I noticed a big mental difference doing 30 minutes instead of 20. Because you know how you feel really good after like cardio and a workout and all that?
Oh, dude.
Oh my God, I noticed the biggest difference after doing cardio, even more than weight training. Just how you feel.
Well, I guess that would be considered the runner's high, because when I would run for 30 minutes, I would be literally hating life while I'm running. I mean, there was times, because I go there at like 5 in the morning. There'd be times I'd be jogging and I'm so like out of breath and so like just exhausted that I'd literally be like, fuck, and I'd just be like, I crank that bitch up to 7, and I'd just be like, I just fucking haul ass as fast as I could and as crazy as I could possibly go, because I would get angry at the fact that I wanted to quit because I was like a pussy, you know what I'm saying? And so when I was done with that, the feeling of it is literally, it's a euphoria feeling that you literally think you're a superhero, that you can literally do anything, and it's hard not to walk by somebody and be like, I could outrun him, no problem. I could outdo this, no problem. You know what I mean? And it feels good for being 40 years old. You know what I mean?
Oh, and if you can do that, I don't know if you work out in the mornings or not.
Yeah, I'm a total morning person.
So I'm trying to flip my workouts in the morning. That seems to be the hardest thing for me to do. But I'm trying to do that because if you can start your day with that, with that like runner's high or that cardio kind of euphoria. Oh shoot! That's better than any cup of coffee. You know what I mean?
I come in here fucking straight geek, and I'm just out here like, hey guys, what's up? And I get pumped up. I feel great. But they say that men are supposed to work out at nighttime, or at least if you're it kind of makes sense considering you eat your food during the day, then you go in and you burn all that, and you go to bed on empty stomach, and you're waking up because when you sleep you also burn the most calories when you sleep. That's crazy too. One day I was just laying around the house one day just doing nothing. I burnt like 400 calories. It was like a lazy day, didn't do shit. 400 calories. I went to bed and burnt 600 calories.
Oh my God.
And it was like, holy shit.
The off day.
Yeah, it was just the off day. Yeah, so it was just weird how it's like when you don't do anything and you're just chilling, like, and you do your I walked like 1,200 steps a day, or 12,000 steps a day, but it would be down to like 3,000, and I'm only burning, you know what I'm saying? And it's just crazy how you burn more calories while you're sleeping.
Well, it helps actually with you mentioned, the last 2.5 years, the kind of fitness, journey you've been on. You probably built a lot of muscle too, and just having muscle alone will help burn fat. Yeah. Even while you're resting.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that either. That's crazy too.
So.
Yeah. Wow. So what's the best and the worst part about being a professional wrestler? I bet there's a ton of things.
I'll answer for me. I'll say probably one of the best parts is being out there and having that experience in front of the crowd. Because once I'm out there, I feel great. And I'm loving being out there and performing in front of the crowd, getting the response from the fans and things like that. But even greater than that, I would say, is right after the match. Just the feeling of, okay, this went well, and as long as it did. I mean, I guess that could be negative too if it didn't go well, but just the feeling of, oh, this went well, now looking forward to looking back on it, things like that. Almost like, it feels kind of like the runner's high we were just talking about, like this was great, but so it's kind of like a euphoric feeling for me. But again, answering just for me, the worst part of it for me, I would say, is usually the day of, before the match. Because the day of gets there, the day of gets there, and I usually think to myself, what did I sign up for? even 10 years in, I think that even 10 years in, that always happens to be the day of, is like an hour or two before I still get like the nerves and things like that. But the second I walk through the curtain and afterwards, I'm like, okay, this was awesome. I gotta get on the next show or whatever, and when's the next time I can get back in the ring? So that's a constant cycle. That's just answering for me, personally.
Yeah, being a performer, it's just alone. it's like a creator, you know what I'm saying? You're performing in front of people, you have to prep, you have to do all kinds of stuff, and you're worried if someone's gonna, like you or not, or how how it's gonna perform. And then if you mess up one little time, you're really hard on yourself, or if you're really good, and it's like performing. Like we said when I was in the band, we'd sit in the garage, we'd play our music, and it was loud because you had the amps and stuff. But then when you get on stage, and I know a lot of people say, the crowd would be great, but I didn't care if there was just one person or there was a whole crowd of people. It was just the fact that my stuff was so amplified and so like larger than life, and that was the whole thing. It was the nervousness beforehand. I'm gonna screw up, I'm gonna break a string, and unplug my guitar cord from my guitars. I'm ripping a solo and don't even realize it.
But once you get out there, it's probably different.
But it's totally different. That's what keeps it going. And I'm sure you've been hurt quite a bit, haven't you? Have you been hurt at all?
Yeah. The biggest thing never broken any bones in the ring or anything like that. I separated my shoulder once, which that obviously something heals on its own, not a surgery thing, a couple weeks off. But the biggest thing for me was concussions by far.
Oh yeah.
So I got a really bad one when I was training before I even started wrestling. So I got my worst one ever, and since then I've had a few very mini ones, nothing compared to the first one. So that's my biggest what I watch the most. So I'm very safe about avoiding concussions. So still happens every now and then. It's there's no way to avoid hitting your head, altogether. But I'm just very cautious about that.
So what are some short-term and long-term goals for you in wrestling?
I'll say most of my goals are relatively like short-term. Like I said, I've been with Pro Wrestling Epic now 10 years, but altogether I've been wrestling for about 12 years. I'm not sure how much longer I will continue. I can't see it going past a few more years. So most of my goals are short-term and really just want to enjoy myself during the process, right? So, and that's what I've been doing the last few years. Is been working, specific shows, having an amazing time with Pro Wrestling Epic in St. Louis, and then doing a lot of cool work out in Albuquerque, New Mexico. But what I really look at now is just matches that I want to have, with the time that I am still wrestling over the next few years. And there's certain names that come to mind that I want to get in the ring with. Like Calvin Coco. That match is coming up March 29th. I'm looking forward to that.
Where's that going? What's going to be at?
That's going to be in Granite City.
Granite City.
Yep, Granite City, Illinois. It's Calvin Coco and I for the Powerhouse Championship. So really looking forward to that one. I want to get back in the ring with an old friend of mine. We go way back. One of my best friends, Brandon Aarons.
Yeah, Brandon.
I think our first match was in 2015, maybe 2014. So about 10 years ago. So I'd love to have another match with Brandon. Really, really hoping it's going to take place soon. Specifically, was it Bonaire? Bonterre. Okay, I've been mispronouncing the city name. Saturday, May 17th in Bonterre, Missouri. I'm hoping that happens. And then so Brandon Aarons is one I'd like to get in the ring with. There's also some names that I haven't gotten in the ring with before, like Damian Blackwell, younger guy, for example, right? Yeah. So.
He's been making waves through the rings too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I'd love to work with him. I'd really like to get back in there with Derek Fullerton again. Whenever Benjamin Trust recovers, him and I go way back too. Yeah. So I'd like to wrestle him. And then there's guys in New Mexico like
be a great match.
Like Saleh Taylor in New Mexico. He's a worker out in New Mexico. I'd like to step in the ring with him. But yeah, so my to answer your question, my short-term goals are just specific names that stand out to me that kind of excite me to have a match with and see what that would look like.
Yeah, it's kind of like just when you're right, when you don't know how far your career's going to go, there's still some pieces and puzzles that need to be picked up and put back together, and that's so yeah, Brandon Aarons. I remember him when I first, even though he's not new to wrestling with Lenny, he was new at the time when I seen him come out, and he's a fantastic wrestler. All these guys are fantastic wrestlers, But when you watch these people, and they have their own dynamics to them. That's the part that I love the most. It's like, every wrestler has their own little dynamic to them, and it shows that that their athleticism, and that's what's so entertaining about that whole thing. And he does all kinds of flips and flying moves, and he ain't scared to get up there either and jump off and do crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's wild. So we each separated each other's shoulders in different matches we had in 2015.
Oh, shoot.
So I mentioned the separated shoulder. So I separated my shoulder in a match with him, and then I think a month or two later, we had another match. Well, after the recovers, probably a little bit farther out from that, he separated his shoulder in a match with me. So we had that kind of ironic.
Right, yeah, eye for an eye.
Yeah, exactly. But he's like almost going on 20 years of experience now. I think him and Lenny started around the same time. Him and Lenny go back really far.
Lenny sharing a picture of that, and it was back in the day, and I was like, wow, that's just so cool to see that kind of thing. Because I thought. Like when I first seen Harsh come up, it was at the Alton show, and I think he was making his first debut back, and I was just like, holy shit, who's? Because I've been coming to these shows a little bit, but I didn't really know who was new, but I started to kind of see familiar faces, and then next thing you know, it's like I can see these people coming in, and I'm like, holy shit, and so PWD's got a lot of great talent, man. I mean,
oh yeah,
I just love that.
Yeah, I think the variety of talent's another thing that makes it stand out, because it's like exactly like you said, like you've got literally guys who are veterans in the St. Louis area, like Harsh. I mean, I don't even know how many years he's in now, but he's still
25 or so years, 30 years, something like that.
He's out there having just awesome matches still, that many years in.
Yeah.
And still doing like hardcore matches and stuff, which is awesome. And then you've got like, Kamaro Jackson, who's absolutely made a name for himself in the Midwest scene. Yeah. You've got, of course, Benjamin Trust, who's very, in the St. Louis area at least, very unique to pro wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And then he's also outside of the St. Louis area, he's also up in Wisconsin doing certain things and things like that. So I think the variety of talent that you have in Pro Wrestling Epic is one thing that also makes it super unique. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you have some guys who only wrestle for Pro Wrestling Epic. Yeah. As of right now, or at least in the St. Louis area, like myself or like a Brandon Aaron. So I mean, there's matchups that you can make in PWE that you just don't see in other promotions. Yeah.
All right. Well, so we're gonna pretty much just we're gonna close this up with the last few questions. Then I'm gonna ask you quick 10 questions for you to just kind of spout off real quick. Give me short answers. What first thing that comes to your mind. If you could go back in time and give day one Tyler Copeland one piece of advice, what would it be?
Let's see. Well, I don't think I'd want anything to work different.
No.
Let's say, I guess I would say I'll circle back to that one. I'd give myself advice to avoid that one concussion that I got during training. You know what I mean? I'd say tuck your head.
Yeah.
I'd tuck your head. I'd say tuck your chin. Yeah. So yeah. But no, I wouldn't. I'm one of those things where like, I wouldn't want to give myself any advice that would make things happen differently. You know what I mean? I'm very happy with kind of what's happened in wrestling so far.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Look, okay, let's say you get in the main event at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Who's standing across from you in the ring?
Ooh, yeah.
Who's going to be that opponent in the ring? Anybody. It could be even a professional wrestler. It could even be someone possibly that you wrestle with now. But just as far as professional wrestling, like as far as like your idols or whoever, who would be one that you would be facing in the ring?
We say main event of WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Big time.
Well, I guess we got to go big time if it's going to be the main event of WrestleMania. So my favorite current wrestler got to be CM Punk.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah. He's absolutely my favorite current wrestler in the ring. So I can't not say Punk.
Oh man, that would be something else. All right. So. What would you? Let's see. The last one we kind of already touched upon would be the what's anything exciting coming up the fans should keep an eye on. Pretty much.
Saturday, March 29th, Granite City, Illinois. That's Pro Wrestling Epic's next event. Myself versus Calvin Coco. So really excited about that match.
Yeah.
Powerhouse Championship. So it's definitely going to be one that y'all aren't going to want to miss. So I'll plug that upcoming show.
All right, and so we got this last little segment. Then we're gonna have one more segment. It's gonna be called on the spot. It's about tattoos.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna talk about that real 2 seconds. But
all
right, for this lightning round, real quick, we got 10 questions here. Favorite wrestler of all time?
Sting.
Best entrance theme in wrestling history?
Shoot. Wolfpack, NWO.
Dream team partner. Dream tag team partner.
Dream tag team partner. Big sexy Kevin Nash.
Yeah. Worst bump you've ever taken?
Half and half suplex. Just landed wrong. It's not a dangerous move, just landed wrong.
Go-to cheat meal after a big match?
Ooh, pizza.
Ooh, yeah. If you weren't a wrestler, what would you be doing?
performing on stage. We'll say, some live performance on stage. Magic Mike.
Yeah, right.
I wish I could be a stage.
One move you wish you could steal from another wrestler.
Ooh, Canadian Destroyer.
Favorite city you've wrestled in?
Ooh, that's so tough. I don't want to knock my own
I know.
city.
We'll give your shout out. Give your city a shout out, and then
Alton,
the second
Illinois.
one, we'll give 2 of them. How's that?
Alton, Illinois, and Albuquerque, New Mexico.
There we go. Heel or baby face? What's more fun?
Heel.
Describe pro wrestling epic in one word.
Dominant.
Yes. All right. So that's the end of the 618 of this podcast. I'd like to thank you for coming out today and taking the time out to come all the way from Alton, Illinois. To come out here and do this podcast with me and shit.
This was great, yeah, man. Thanks for having me out. The setup's incredible. Like I said, I've been watching the last few, and it was excited to get on here. Excited to see what you're doing.
I'm totally pumped, and I'm happy you made it out here safe and took time out here to do this. You know.